Hey, what's up? Welcome to this new video. This one is paper 1-3 of May-June 2012. Now, of course, this one is paper 1 of A-level math. Now, with that being said, let's move on to question number 1. So in this question, we have to prove the left-hand side is equal to the right-hand side. So as always, let's proceed step by step. So we have tan square theta. So tan square minus sine square. Now we know tan, what is tan? Tan is actually sine over cos. So we can rewrite this as sine square over cos square minus sine square. Now what is sine square? Sine square is sine square over 1. So as you can see, we have two fractions and the base are different. So the first thing to do is make them have the same base. So we can multiply them by each other. So 1 times cos square will be cos square. And then we have to cross multiply. That will be sine square minus sine square cos square. So now we can try to factorize the top value here. Because we have sine square common, so factorize sine square, that will be 1 minus cos square over cos square. Now we can, of course, simplify. Here we have sine square. Now what is 1 minus cos square? It is also sine square over cos square. Now we do realize something. If I try to, let me do this. So what is sine square over cos square? So sine over cos is tan. Now we have square, that will be tan square. This one is simply sine square remaining. So we can write this as tan square theta. And here we have sine square theta. This is shown as required in part 1. Now for part 2, we have to use this result, so using this result, to explain why tan theta is more than sine theta for the angle theta is acute, is in the first quadrant, 0, 90. Theta will be right here, and not including the value of 0 or 90, so it will be inside that quadrant. So let's see, why is that? So we have to use the result from part 1. Now, something we can know right away is that, for example, we can kind of assume tan square theta is more than 0. And also, sine square theta have to be more than 0. Why is that? Because if you think, any value, when you square it, it have to be positive, right? So it cannot be less than 0. Now again, why I did not include equal to 0 is because you can see here the angle theta is between the value of 0 and 90, so not including 0, so you will not be including the value of 0. Now from this we have this by first assumption. Now we can definitely prove that, but you know this is true, right? Square, it will not be negative. Now what if we try to take tan square theta multiplied by sine square theta? Can we agree it will be more than 0? Makes sense. More than 0 multiplied by more than 0, that will be more than 0. Okay, great. Now, from our question from part 1, we do see this is what? This is also this. So let's write this down. This is also equal to tan square theta minus sine square theta more than 0. Now we can definitely send this over here. You will have tan square theta is more than sine square theta. Now if you were to take square root on both sides, you will have tan theta is more than sine theta. This is shown as required. Now this is true because theta is acute. That is between the value of 0 and 90. Okay, so this will be part 2 of your question. We have to show tan theta is more than sine theta using part 1 of your question. Okay, so let's move on to the next question. Relative to the point O, we have the position vectors of A, B, and C are given to you by the following. Now part 1, we have to find the unit vector in the direction of AB. So first we have to find AB. AB is defined by OB minus OA. That will be, OB is 4, 2 minus 2, minus OA will be 2 minus 1, 4. That will be what? 4 minus 3 is 2. That should be 3, and that should be minus 6. This is AB. Now we have to find the magnitude of AB. Pretty easy. That will be 2 squared, 4 plus 9 plus 36. That will be root of 49. That should be 7. So finally, our answer will be what? Will be the vector itself, which is 2, 3 minus 6 divided by 7. Or you can write 1 over 7 multiplied by 2, 3 minus 6. This will be the unit vector in the direction of AB. Now for part 2, we have to find the value of P for which the angle BOC is 90. So BOC from here, all going to B and all going to C. So the dot product of OB and OC have to be 0. Because 90 it means they are perpendicular, and it means the dot product have to be 0. So OB is given to you by 4, 2 minus 2. OC is 1, 3P. So simplify. 4 times 1 is 4, and then here we have plus 6 minus 2P have to be 0. 2P have to be 10. P have to be 5. That will be your value of P. Now let's move on to the next question. The first 3 terms of this expansion are given to you by 1, this one 1 minus x, n plus bx squared. So we have to use that information to find the value of A and B. So let's first expand this and find the first 3 terms of this. So how would you expand this? You will take 1 first, multiply by 1 plus ax, this, and minus 2x. And here we have, so here we have square. So we have to first expand this. That will be what? 1 minus 4x plus 4x squared. Multiply by 1 plus ax power 6. So here will be minus 4 times 1 plus ax power 6, and finally plus 4x squared times 1 plus ax power 6. Now we can try to find the first 3 terms of this expansion, right? Let's see what happens. So 1 plus ax power 6, 6 combination 0, that will be 1, ax, that will be 0, and that should be 6. 6 choose 1 times ax, that should be 1 and 5, and plus 6 choose 2, that should be 1, ax, here we have 2, and then here we have 4. That should be 1 times 1 times 1 plus 6 times 1 times ax plus 6 choose 2 is 15 times 1 times a squared x squared. That will be 1 plus 6ax plus 15 a squared x squared. Now we can replace back in the main equation. So if you were to expand, you will have 1 times 1 plus 6ax plus 15 a squared x squared. Here we have minus 4x multiplied by 1 plus 6ax plus 15 a squared x squared. And finally here we have plus 4x squared times 1 plus this and plus this. Now, obviously in this expansion we only need the first 3 terms. So this one obviously you have to multiply by all 3. You will have 1 plus 6x plus 15 a squared x squared. Here we have minus. So that will be minus 4x, and here we have minus 24ax squared. And here we have plus 4x squared, that should be 4x squared over here. So let's see. So by combining all 3, let's see what we have. First we have 1 here. Then we have plus 6a minus 4x. And then here we have plus 15a squared minus 24a plus 4. That should be x squared. Now we can definitely compare the coefficients. For example, we know that Usually, if you were to expand this, you will have those three terms, which is, this is supposed to be 1, supposed to be 1x, so minus 1x, and then plus bx squared. So by comparison, this is okay. So we know this should be this, which is 6a, minus 4 should be minus 1. So a should be what? So minus 1 plus this should be 3. 3 divided by 6 should be 0.5. A should be half. Now replace here 15 times half square minus 24 times half plus b. 4 should be b. Should be 15 times 1 over 4 plus 24 times 1 over 2. So it's minus actually. Okay, mistake. So 15 times 1 over 4 minus 12 plus 4. So b have to be minus 4.25. So a is this, b will be this. And that is your question, to find the values of a and b using the given information. As you can see, it is not tough, it is just lengthy, and step by step you can solve this pretty easily. Let's move on to the next question. So here we have to solve the equation sine 2x plus cos 2x equal to this. So pretty easy. In this case, since we have sine and cos in the same equation, we can divide by cos everywhere. You will have sine divided by cos will be tan, because here we have 2x. Here that will be 3, have to be 0. Next, we make tan 2x become subject, that should be minus 3. Now, because tan is negative, it will be in this quadrant and in this quadrant. This is what this is, simply 180 minus theta, and here we have 360 minus theta. Of course, theta is not your answer. Theta will be what? Will be tan inverse of the positive value of 3. Okay? Tan inverse of plus 3, that should be 71.6. Now to find the value of x, we have to use the quadrant. So 2x, because here we have 2x, is equal to 180 minus theta, 71.6, that should be 108.4. Also, 360 minus 71.6, that should be 288.4. So x will be what? 108.4 divided by 2, that should be 54.2. And then here we have 288.4 divided by 2, 144.2. Okay, now you can see the value here is between 0 and 360. So here, because we have 2x, right? This is x, so 2x can be between what? 720. So we can try and see what other values we can have, so that we don't miss any of the answers. So let's see. Let's add 360. So 108 plus, so 0.4 plus 360, that'll be 468.4. And this one, 288.4 plus 360, that should be 648.4. Now again, you can see 2x, it is still between 0 and 720, so everything is less than that as well. So it means that we can have those other answers as well. So 468.4 divided by 2, that will be 2.2. 648.4 divided by 2, that should be 324.2. As you can see, these values of x is between 0 and 360, so all these qualify for your values of x. Again, the main point is that when you have to find x, usually you have to look at x, at the end you have to find x obviously, but here since we have 2, we can check if you have other possible values. So to the initial values we add 360, and then find the value of x to check if it is indeed in this domain. If it is, then we can take those values as well. Now for part 2, we have to find how many solutions has the equation this and this between this. So pretty easy, we'll just use ratio. For example, this is x is between 0 and 360, we will have 4 solutions, right? Now if x is between 0 and 1080, we will have how many solutions? So pretty easy. for this domain, so 360 minus 0 is 360 degrees, we will have 4 solutions. Same thing, 1080 degrees, you will have 4 divided by 360 degrees times 1080 to find the number of solutions in that domain. That will be 12 solutions. So this will be your answer for part 2. As you can see, it's pretty easy. It is only 1 mark, which is solved by using ratio. Okay, so let's move on to the next question. The diagram shows part of the curve x equal to 8 over y squared minus 2. Okay, now first thing I can do, I can rewrite the equation. That should be 8y power minus 2 minus 2. That is x, obviously. Now what else? So here we have crossing the y-axis at the point A. So we can find the point A, right? So at y-axis, what do we know? Y-axis, the value of x have to be 0. Replace back in your equation. That will be 0 here. That should be 8 over y squared minus 2. Send this over here. That should be 2 equal to 8 over y squared. So y squared should be the value of 4. So y should be the value of 2. That should be 2 here. Okay. So the point A is what? X is 0. That should be 2. Now what else do we need to know? The point B is 6, 1. This is my point B. Okay. Now let's move on to the question. So the region that we have here is bounded by the curve, the y-axis, and the line y equal to 1. As you can see, this is the region that we are referring to. Now find the exact volume when this region is rotated through 360 about the y-axis. Here we have about the y-axis. As we can know, the formula will be v is pi limits of between 2 and 1, so 2 and 1. And since we have y here, that have to be x squared respect to dy. Okay, so because here we have x, we have to first find x squared. That will be 64 y power minus 4. So actually this is together, so it will be a bit more complex. For example, square. That will be square like this. First will be this one, and then we have to expand. That should be minus, so 2 times 8 is 16, times 2 will be 32, and then plus 4. Okay, so x squared will be equal to this value. So once you find this, you can replace back in your main equation here. That should be volume is pi, limits of 2, 1, and x squared is 64 y power this minus 32 y power minus 2 plus 4 dy. Now let's replace. You will have this, and that will become 64 y power minus 3 divided by the same power, then minus 32 y power minus 3, so minus 1 actually, because we have to plus 1 divided by minus 1, and plus 4y 2 and 1. Now let's see what can we do. So here we have pi, and you will have 64, so minus here over 3. We can bring this down. That should be what? 8 power 3 should be, so 2 power 3 should be 8. Then minus become plus, right? Plus 32, we can bring the y down, that will become 2, plus 8 minus, that should be 1, so we have minus 64 over 3 times 1. We have plus 32 over 1 and plus 4. So minus 64 over the value of what? That will be 3 times 8 will be 24, plus 16 plus 8. That should be 21, 1 over 3. How about this one? Here we have minus 64 over 3 plus 32 plus 4. That should be 14 2/3. Okay, simplify. We have 21 1 over 3 minus 14 2 over 3. That should be 6 2 over 3. Okay, so your answer will be, the volume is 6 2 over 3 pi units cube, or we can simplify. 6 times 3 is 18 plus 2 is 20. 20 over 3 pi units cube. That will be your volume for this when we have a rotation about the y-axis. Now let's move on to the next question. So the first term of an AP is 12. So we can write the first term. The first term is 12. And the sum of the first 9 terms, so the sum of the first 9 terms is 135. Okay, so we have these two given information. So now we have to use that to find the common difference, which is the value of d. So because we know it is an AP, we can write down the formulas we know. The sum of the first n terms is given to you by half n 2a plus n minus 1 times d. So sum of the first 9 terms is 135. Replace, you will have half, n is 9, 2 times a, that will be 12, plus n minus 1 is 8 times d. So here we have to solve for the value of d. So divide by 9 on both sides. Let's see what happens. That will be cancel out, and that should be 15. That should be 1 over 2, and that should be 24 plus 8d. Divide by 2. On this side you will have 15. This will go away. You will have 12 plus 40. So 4d will be the value of what? 15 minus this should be 3, so d will be 3 over 4, or you can write 0.75. So that will be your common difference among the terms. That will be part 1 of your question. Now part 2. The first term, the 9th term, and the nth term of this AP are the first term, second term, and third term. So pretty easy. First term will be 12. The 9th term will be what? 9th term, let's find out. The 9th term will be a is 12 plus n minus 1 should be 8 times d. d is 0.75. Let's see what happens. 12 plus 8 times 0.75, that should be 18. So 18. And then we have the nth term. So the nth term, right? The nth term, we don't know. The nth term should be what? Should be the third term. The nth term, let's write this down. That should be 12 plus n minus 1, so which is this, n minus 1. Replace third term should be the nth term, 12 plus 0.75 n minus 1. This is the given information that we have from the question. Now part 1, part 2, we have to find the common ratio and find the value of n. So pretty easy. Common ratio is r. So how do you find r? We know that r is what? When you take the first term, multiply by r, you're supposed to get this. So 12 times r is 18. So r will be 18 divided by 12. That will be 1.5. Okay, so let's move on. Since we know this, so we can also understand that from the second term going to the third term, we have to multiply by r. So 18 times 1.5 is what? 18 times 1.5 is 27. So we understand the third term is supposed to be 27. So we have to use this to find the value of n. Because we know this is 27, but it is also this one, so we can equate 12 plus 0.75 n minus 1 also equate to 27. 0.75 will be n minus 1 is what? That should be 15. N minus 1 is what? 15 divided by 0.75, that should be 20. So finally, n will be 21. Okay, this is 21, and common ratio is found to be 1.5. Okay, and that is your answer for part 2 of your question. Now let's move on to the next question. The curve y is given to you by this. It intersects the x-axis at this point, at the point A. So now we know at x-axis the value of y is 0. Replace, you will have 0 is 10 over the value of 2x plus 1 minus 2. Send 2 over here, you will have 2, 10 over 2x plus 1. Now we can divide by 2 on both sides. You will have 1 here, that should be 5, and you will have 2x plus 1. Now we can cross multiply. You will have 2x plus 1, that will be 5. So 2x will be the value of 4, x will be the value of 2. So the point A will be 2, and the value of y here is 0. This is my point A. Now, the tangent to the curve at A, at the point 2, 0, intersect the y-axis at C. So pretty easy. We understand that at the point A, we have a tangent. For example, that is the tangent T. Now, for me to be able to find the point C, I need to first find the equation of the tangent. Now, to find the gradient of the tangent, we have to use dy by dx. Now, to find this, we can rewrite this equation as 10 2x plus 1 power minus 1 minus 2. That should be, first thing first, multiply by the power, then minus 1, then multiply by d by dx of inside, you will have 2, and that should be 0 here. That will become minus 20 over 2x plus 1 square, and that will be 0. So we have to find this at the value of x equal to 2. That should be minus 20 over 2 times 2 is this, 4 plus 1 is 5, 5 squared is 25. So the gradient of tangent will be what? Minus 0.8. Or you can write this down as a fraction, that should be minus 4 over 5. So this is the gradient of tangent. Now what is a passing point? You can see the passing point is your point A as given here. So A will be this is my x value, the y value, so we can find the equation y minus 0 over x minus 2 have to be minus 4 over 5. Now we can cross multiply, let's see what happens. That'll be 5y equal to minus 4x plus 8. That will be my equation of the tangent. That's the step number 1. Now to find the point C, we understand the tangent crosses the y-axis, so at y-axis we know the value of x have to be 0. Replace, you will have y have to be 8 divided by 5. That will be 1.6. So the point C will be, this is 0, 1.6. Okay, that will be point C. Now the first part here is we have to find the equation of AC. We have seen it is 5y. We can send this over here, for example. Let me write this correctly. We send this over here, become 5y plus 4x equal to 8, shown as required. Now to find the distance AC, I know the point A is 2, 0. The point C is 0, 1.6. We can find this pretty easily. That will be what? Square root. x2 minus x1 should be minus 2 square, that should be 4, plus this minus this will be 1.6 square, that should be this. So 4 plus 1.6 square, then square root of that should be 2.56 units, correct to 3SF. And that will be part 2 of your question. Now let's move on to the next question. So in the diagram we have AB is an arc of a circle, center O. So AB is the arc. Now we know the radius is R, which means OB is R, but also OA have to be R, right? Now we can see that we have a line OX, and we know OA and AX have to be the same, which means AX have to be R as well. Right. Now what else? So we have the line XB right here is a tangent to the circle at B, which means this have to be 90. Okay. Now let's see, what do we have to do here? So we have to show the angle AOB. So AOB, this angle right here, is equal to this. So pretty easy. We have a right angle triangle. OXB is a right angle triangle. How would you find this angle? If you observe, we know, what do we know? This is B, O, X. This is R, and this is 2R. We have this, and we have to find this. So the angle here, we have to use SOHCAHTOA obviously. So we know this side, this is my H side, hypotenuse, and this is my A side. So cos, obviously we use cos of the angle O, have to be my A side over my H side. That should be, cancel out, that should be half. So O should be cos inverse of half. That should be 60 degrees. However, here we are using radians. That should be pi by 3 radians, shown as required. That is part 1. Now for part 2, Express each of the following in terms of r, pi, and root 3. So we have to find the perimeter of the shaded region. So let's see how can we find this. For example, the perimeter is defined by the distance around. You can see it will be ax plus xb and plus ab. So we have 3 p's that we need to find the value of the perimeter. Now, one thing we can find pretty easily now is the AB. AB is arc length. Arc length is given to you by r times the angle. R we don't know, and the angle is 1 over 3 pi. This is the length of AB. That should be r over 3 pi. Right. Now we have to find this one. So this is the arc length. This is r, ax is r, and we have to find xb. Now to find xb, we can use simply the Pythagoras theorem, which means that will be what? Xb square will be 4r square minus r square. That should be 3r square. So xb will be root 3r right here. So we just have to replace back in our main equation. So that will be xb is root 3r plus this. Now that will be your answer. So p is equal to r plus root 3r and plus pi over 3r in terms of r, pi, and root 3. Now for part 3, we have to find the area of the region. So pretty easy. By observation, we can find the area of the whole thing and minus the area of sector. So first, let's find the area of the whole thing. So because we have a right angle triangle, we can find by using half times base times height, right? So half times base is OB, that should be R, and the height is BX, should be root 3 R. Then minus the area of sector over here, so pretty easy, that is half R square, and the angle in between is pi over 3. Now we can try to simplify somehow. Let's see what do we have. That will be half r square root 3 minus half r square pi over 3. Now we can try to factorize half outside and r square. You will have root 3 minus pi over 3. Okay, and that will be your area. You can write, obviously, you have to write centimeters square, and this you have to write centimeters area and length for part 1, part 2, and part 3 of your question. Now let's move on to the next question. A curve is such that d2y by dx2 is minus 4x. The curve has a minimum point r at 2 and this. Okay, so we have to find the equation of the curve. So we have to find y. That is what it means. Equation of curve is to find the value of y. Now we understand that to find y, it is equal to integration of dy by dx. But to find dy by dx, it is equal to integration of d2y by dx2. So let's begin here, right? So let me find dy by dx. So dy by dx has to be integration of d2y by dx2, so minus 4x respect to dx. That should be minus 4x squared divided by 2 plus c. That should be minus 2x squared plus c. That is dy by dx. Now, we know something here. We know that at the maximum point, what do we know? Dy by dx have to be 0. So, let's write this down. So at the point 2, 12, we know that dy by dx have to be 0. So if you replace minus 2, x is 2, square plus c have to be 0 at that point. So minus 2 times 4 plus c have to be 0. So c have to be the value of 8. So finally, we understand dy by dx is actually what it is, minus 2 x squared plus 8. Now moving on to the next step, from this we have to find y. Y is simply integration of minus 2 x squared plus 8 dx. That will be minus 2 x power 3 divided by 3 plus 8 x plus c. Oh, so here we have c already. Let's use d. That should be this. Now let's try to find the value of d. So how can we do this? We have to use the passing point again, 2, 12. That will be my x value, my y value. So replace back in my main equation, that should be 12 here. And that will be minus 2 over 3 times 2 power 3 plus 8 times 2 plus d. So let's see what do we have. That should be 2 power 3 times minus 2. That should be minus 16 over 3 plus 16 plus d. That have to be 12. So replace 12 plus 16 over 3 minus 16. That will be d. d will be 1 over 3, which is 1 times 3 is 3 plus 1 is 4 over 3. So finally, from here we can have y is equal to minus 2 over 3 x power 3 plus 8x and then plus 4 over 3. That is your value of y, which is your equation of your curve. That is part 1 of your question. Now part 2, we have a point P which moves along the curve in such a way that the x value is increasing at a constant rate. So at the point P we have dx by dt is 0.05 at the point P. Now we have to find the rate at which the y value is changing when x is 3, stating whether the x value is increasing or decreasing. So pretty easy. So here we have dx by dt was given to you by 0.05. So we are trying to find the rate of change of y, so dy by dt. Now we can form an equation. On top here we have dy. On the base here we have dt. Now they are connected by something. They can be connected by dx and dx. So dx by dt will be simply 0.05. So that will be dy by dx times 0.05. So what is dy by dx? Okay, so we know from part 1 of your question, we have seen that dy by dx was found to be minus 2x squared plus 8, right? You can see here. Now it is at this point when x equal to 3. So replace, what is the value of that when x equal to 3? That should be minus 2 times 9 plus 8. Minus 2 times 9 plus 8, that should be minus 10. So let's move on. The question is what? dy by dt should be minus 10 times 0.05. That should be 0.5 minus, obviously, and units per second. So here, per second, right? So state whether y is increasing or decreasing. Because here it is negative, obviously it will be decreasing. And that will be part 2 of your question. Now let's move on to the next question. The equation of a line is 2y plus x equal to k, where k is a constant. Now, and the equation of the curve is xy is 6. So we have 2 equations. Now part 1, in the case where k is equal to 8, so here we have 2y plus x have to be 8. The line intersect the curve at the points a and b. So find the equation of the perpendicular bisector of AB. So pretty easy. First thing first, we have to find the points A and B, right? So the intersect means we have to solve simultaneously. Here we have x. Let's make x become subject. So x will be what? X will be 8 minus 2y. Now replace x back in here. You will have 8 minus 2y times y have to be 6. That will be 8y minus 2y squared have to be 6. 2y squared minus 8y plus 6 have to be 0. That should be this, minus 4y plus 3 have to be 0. Now from here, factorize. That will be y times y, and that will be 3 times 1. Minus 4 is minus 3, minus 1. So y should be 1, y should be 3. Now, what is the value of x? X replace back in your equation here. So 8 minus 2 times y, so that will be 6. And again, 8 minus 2 times y, so 2 times 3 is 6, that should be 2. So the first point, A should be 2, 3, and the point B should be 6, 1. But that is not the most important thing here. The main question is to find the equation of the perpendicular bisector of AB. So we have to understand what is the perpendicular bisector of AB. For example, if you had A and B, this is A and B. Now the perpendicular bisector is a line passing through the midpoint of AB at 90 degrees. So we have to find that equation. But first thing first, we can obviously find this midpoint first. So to find midpoint, we can use our formula, which is x1 plus x2. That will be 6 times 2, 6 plus 2 will be 8, divided by 2 is 4. 1 plus 2 is 4, divided by 2 is 2. This is the midpoint M. Now, to find the equation of a straight line, we have to find the gradient, obviously. So, to find the gradient of P, we can first focus on the gradient of AB. So, pretty easy. That will be what? y2 minus y1. So, let's do y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Why not? That will be minus 2 over the value of 4. That should be minus half. That is my gradient of AB. From this, we can derive gradient of P have to be the value of 2. Since we have the passing point, we have the gradient, we can find the equation. So y minus the corresponding value over x minus 4 have to be 2. Cross multiply, you will have y minus 2 have to be 2x minus 8. So y have to be 2x minus 8 plus 2 have to be the value of plus 6. So minus 6. So y have to be 2x minus 6. That is my equation of the perpendicular bisector. Now let's move on to part 2 of your question. Now we have to find the set of values of k for which the line intersect the curve at 2 distinct points. So 2 distinct points means b squared minus 4ac more than 0. So let's try to intersect them. So here we have 2y plus x equal to k, and here we have xy equal to 6. X will be k minus 2y. We can replace here. You will have what? You will have the value here will be x is k minus 2y times y have to be 6. So ky minus 2y squared equal to 6. Let's rearrange. You will have 2y squared minus ky plus 6 have to be 0. This is a, b, and c. So b squared is k squared minus 4 times a and times c have to be more than the value of 0. Because we know they meet at 2 distinct points. Because of that, we have to use this. B squared minus 4ac have to be more than 0. Now, k squared minus what? 4 times 2 times 6, that will be 48. More than 0. So we can find the critical values first. So k have to be plus minus root of 48. Now, as you can see, will be in this shape, have to be 0, and this is minus root of 48, and this is root of 48. Here we need the value to be more, which is on top, right? Will be this side and this side. So obviously, k have to be more than root of 48, or k have to be less than negative root of 48. So this is your answer for part 2 of your question. Let's move on to the next question. Here we have a function f is such that f of x is equal to this. Now we can rewrite this as f of x is equal to minus x minus 2 squared plus the value of 8. Okay, great. Now part 1, we have to find the point and the nature of the stationary point for the curve. So pretty easy. Whenever we have our equation expressed in the complete square form, we can find that pretty easily. So it is always going to be the case. The value at the end will be the stationary value, and it happens when the value inside here is equal to 0. For example, this will be my y value, and this will be, we have to equate that to 0 to find my x value. So from here you see x have to be the value of 2. So your stationary point have to be 2, 8. We have to use this to find the stationary point. Again, if you guys don't know this method, you can always go back to what we usually do. We can find dy by dx and then equate to 0 to find the stationary points as well. Up to you. Now what else? We have to find the nature, so pretty easy. Because the coefficient of x squared is negative, right? It will be a maximum curve. So this will be a maximum point. Okay, now let's move on to part 2. The function g is such that g of x is equal to this. Now we realize g of x is the same as f of x. The only trick here is the values of x is between k and 4, where k is a constant. Okay, pretty easy. Now what else? Part 2, we have to state the smallest value of k for which g has an inverse. So pretty easy. As you can see, there's only one mark. So whenever you have to find the smallest value of x, we have to look at the stationary point. So just to understand this, usually the shape of the graph is like this, usually, right? Now this is your point. Your x value is 2, right? Because you can see the point is 2, 8, so 2 here, and the y value is 8, right? Now this is usually the shape of the graph without the restriction. Now, at first, if you were to draw a line, you will have 2 points of intersection. And if you do have 2 points of intersection, it is not a one-to-one function, and hence it will not have an inverse. So the idea here is that we have to define the function in such a way that it has an inverse. So what happened here was, we have to remove x on this side until this point, so our function is only this, is only from this point and this, so that when you draw the line, you have only one point of intersection, and that is a one-to-one function, and hence it will have an inverse. So what is the smallest value of k we can take? As you can see, we will take the value of x to be right here. So x can be 2. So k can be starting from 2, then keep going on for it to have an inverse. Okay. Now let's move on to part 3. Find an expression for g inverse of x. So let y equal to g of x. That will be 8 minus x minus 2 squared. Now we have to rearrange and try to make x become the subject. So you will have x minus 2 squared is equal to 8 minus y. X minus 2 should be plus minus root of 8 minus y. So finally x will be 2 plus minus 8 minus y. So from this we have to choose g inverse. It is in terms of x, that will be 2 plus 8 minus x. Because you can see here, x have to be more than 2 and less than 4. So more than 2 have to be 2 or more, right? That's why you have to choose plus here. Now for the last one, we have to sketch on the same diagram the graph of this and the graph of this. So let's sketch that. Now something we do realize that is g of x is what? It is a maximum curve. That will be minus x minus 2 squared plus 8. Now the values of x is between the value of 2 and 4, as we have seen on the question. Now, when the value of x is equal to 2, what is g of 2? Let's see, that will be minus 2 minus 2 is 0, 0 plus 8, that should be 8. So that will be 2, 8 as one of the points. Now when x is equal to the value of 4, so g of 4 is what? Minus here. 4 minus 2 is 2, 2 squared is 4, plus 8, that should be 4. The point is 4 and 4. So now we have 2 points. We we should be able to sketch the graph. So let me draw my axis. This is my y-axis, and this is the x-axis. Now let me mark the points that I do want to. So I know that the first thing we have to do, because it is an inverse, and so g of x and g inverse, we have to draw the line of y equal to x. So you have to show this for any graph we have in relation to the inverse. So that will be y equal to x. Now the first point we can have is 2, 8. Say this is 2, for example. 8 should be somewhere over here. Why not? Right? This is 8. So this is 2. And then we have to have 4. 4 should be on the line, right? So your graph will have a shape. This is your maximum point. So it should be something like this. Right. That will be your graph of g of x. Now we understand that there must be reflections, obviously. So by kind of sketching, should be some over here, and that should be the other shape, and that will be y equal to g inverse of x. Okay, now how do I know it lies on the line, the point? Because when x equal to 4, the value of y is 4, you can see. So this is the line, y equal to x. When x equal to 4, y is also 4. That's why we know it lies on the line. Okay, and that will be part 4 of your question.